Have you ever started writing a thesis statement only to wind up disappointed that it's not really great? It might be okay, but it's not as good as it could be. Well, today I want to share with you a way to make your thesis statements much more complex, sophisticated, and effective. So this presentation looks at the building blocks or components of thesis statements. These are some of the components. We have your topic, your position, reasons and evidence, concession, and qualification. The topic is simply what the essay is about. The position is your opinion. The reasons add support to your position. And the concession is when you admit a strong point about the other side or, the skeptics. Qualification is a way to narrow your claim. So let's take a look. Here we have a prompt. It says, what is the relationship between language and culture? The topic here is the relationship between language and culture. And the position might be language and culture are interconnected and inseparable. So let's take a look at a complex and sophisticated thesis statement. While it is popular to discuss language and culture as separate social phenomena, the reality is the two are inextricably linked, especially if one considers the interplay that exists between the two as evidenced by etymology and corpus linguistics. Etymology is the history of words, and corpus linguistics is when linguists amass sometimes millions of texts, and then they analyze patterns with different words or phrases. And so these are the two pieces of evidence being offered. Here's the concession. This concession admits that these are treated as separate. The claim then shifts to the reality. So it's arguing with that concession and it's saying they're inextricably linked. In other words, you can't pull them apart. The qualification says, especially if you consider the interplay, how they affect each other. And the reasons are etymology and corpus linguistics, as we had mentioned. So how do we put this all together? Well, you can pause this page and practice. So the practice involves the following prompt. Some argue that tobacco should be illegal due to the hundreds of thousands of deaths it causes each year. Others argue that this would infringe on personal freedoms. How should the sale of tobacco be governed? So here are the steps. In step one, you want to write out your position and brainstorm evidence and objections. Sometimes you might want to do research and write out either side, the pros and cons of each position before deciding on your position. I recommend that approach, especially if you are new to the topic. In step two, you want to add a concession from the strongest objection. The reason we want to add the strongest objection is because a weak objection is going to seem like a straw figure fallacy. It's going to seem to the skeptics like you're not fairly representing their case. In step three, you want to add a qualification. So this is where we want to further narrow and bring in our evidence and reasons. Here's the basic thesis. Tobacco should be regulated, not banned. We have our topic and position. Now let's brainstorm. Why should it be regulated? Well, it's easier to control, it won't fund crime, and we have precedent that banning doesn't work so well, for instance, with alcohol during the Prohibition era. Objections that we've brainstormed are that it is too costly. For instance, the medical costs are very high, and it leads to unnecessary death and disease. Here's where we add our concession from the strongest objections. While smoking tobacco has resulted in countless lives being lost, this product should be regulated, not banned. We're not finished yet, though, because we haven't supported this claim. In the next step, we add our qualification and we also add our evidence. While smoking tobacco has resulted in countless lives being lost, this product should be regulated, not banned, because prohibiting tobacco will only result in strengthening the black market as it did with the prohibition of alcohol in the 1920s. So here we can see we have a much more sophisticated thesis than we started with back in step one. Follow these steps to make your own thesis statements more sophisticated and complex. I'm Dustin the Tutor, and if you like videos like this, consider following or subscribing depending on the platform you're on, and feel free to share this with somebody who might be struggling with thesis statements. I lead a small group of outstanding tutors, and I know we can help you meet your goals, whether that's related to thesis statements, essay writing, or creative writing. We teach English for grade school students and also ESL students, whether they're in grade school or they're adults. Now, there's further practice here, so feel free to pause this screen, and I'll see you next time. Take care.